Yo, 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 yo.
Hey,
How's it going up, brothers?
exercise your melanin. Everybody is studying.
Always gotta exercise.
Study us. It's different.
If you don't exercise, you just roll.
It's only different because I don't vote for no man.
Not even for yourself.
The process of voting for me doesn't register, if that makes sense for you, right? Register.
Oh yeah, I feel you.
It doesn't register for me at all, like because I feel like you can't really vote for something if you're not even voting for the people behind that are putting those people to vote for in front of you.
So like you, because you never truly know the person that you're voting for, in a sense.
Well, you're never really voting. You're picking. Like for me, voting would make more sense if it was like on every scale. Voting is taken serious. Like so, we don't just vote for whoever has enough money to be in front of us, so we vote for them, or whoever has enough ability to present themselves. Because how can you present yourself? And this is a worldly. Like how can you present yourself? You would have to present yourself with some power. Like you got to present yourself with power.
Right. Which is more now, like a always comes in with the base human. Yeah.
Being led, like having leadership involved, I'm with that. Leadership is necessary. You know, you need like a circumstance where you see somebody else so you can actually be guided by a certain force outside of yourself.
Right.
But when you step back and say, okay, I'm gonna vote for this person because there might be a possibility that they would do what I would do if I was there. It's like it's like you kind of take the pride of the leader away. Like so I mean, if the leader would just do what he gotta do, you don't really gotta say anything. Like I mean, you could go for it immediately.
Right.
And just do it, or you would just do it yourself. So it's like all these, you know, you gotta make sure you it's like you vote for the person that you want to literally be.
Right.
That you're just preventing yourself from going and actually just being that person.
You could have been that guy, but you just, you know, you gotta vote for a guy that you gotta trust is that guy.
I'm gonna vote for the guy that, you know, he's for the recycling, for the helping the environment. You know what I mean? Crashes a bag of gum and then throws it out. You know what I mean?
Right into the grass.
or that same grass is not even. It's not even real grass, and the whole thing, if you really think about it, is just a huge litter box. Like all construction is like a litter box. Like we're taking what's there and constructing something over it. So it's like, man, why you gonna throw something right on top of what we threw on top of what was originally there? Come on. Why you gonna litter on top of what we
Why you gotta litter on top of what we littered on?
We gotta clean that up now. Come on, man. Come on.
Oh, come on, man.
It's not like we have a bunch of community workers that we've enslaved so we can
I like my own litter. Alright. But I don't like your litter. You know what I'm saying?
But keep buying the products and then we're gonna go litter it on a mountain.
That's
so every time you you're traveling the planet. It smells around here. What? Oh yeah, it's that mountain right over there. So a mountain. What's on that mountain? Well, I never knew. You know, it's a mountain full of doo-doo. It's a mountain full of trash.
Hey, it's really
that's a tangent. That's a tangent though. I don't want to lose track. I don't want to lose track, right? Like you know, it's like we were just running the track and all of a sudden we just kept running outside the stadium.
Right.
I can keep running, but
we gotta take a U-turn eventually. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to overbound your touchdown. You know what I'm saying? But
so voting, how do you see voting? I mean, I just personally I can't vote for another man.
Yeah, I mean, me, all my life, I've never been particularly variant on voting, interested.
Have you ever voted?
Well,
in any process? By the way, I'm talking about any process.
process.
I don't want to be specific because I don't even want to mention anybody's name about whatever I'm talking about. The process of voting on every level that I'll say this democratically.
Right. Yes. Yes, I have.
For people, voting for people. Right.
Yes,
Not voting for situations or voting for things to
'Cause
happen. I'm talking about voting for people.
You know, other than you know, just the practice of voting, you know, there's obviously voting amongst people that you know, to try to achieve a certain type of goal or to make a overall decision that we can all agree on. So I mean, overall, I think everyone's technically voted if they
at one point.
Yeah,
it's part of the program.
Right, but
it's part of the program.
But if anything, I can only agree with voting when it's voting on merit.
What do you mean by that?
When it's voting on a certain type of thing, more or less. But especially when it's voting on a person, I believe that I can't vote unless it's being voted on merit. Like it has to be. I have to understand the
so you're that type of voter when it's for people, because there's many types of voters for people.
Right. Like I have to like nowadays it can be a lot more difficult than it used to be, but it's more of like if I can't, if you're not exactly what you say you are, your actions speak louder than your words.
The thing is, the reason it's because voting for people, it kind of leaves you having to trust that person, right?
That's why I say merit.
And the moment they're in whatever you just voted, they're gonna have a moment of freedom to break that trust.
Power corrupts and corrupts.
Absolutely. And I think it becomes kind of this delusion over and over again where people say, I'm gonna vote for this person because at least it's not that other person, you know, at least he's not as corrupt or is not, and it then becomes just like we're becoming weaker and weaker as a people, because look, I'll separate these two so the distinction is clear. I don't mind voting for something to happen.
Right.
Like I'm gonna vote for this to change, and a group of people. So you know, I like voting for things to happen, and for groups and you know programs to change their way of teaching or things like that, a way of transforming minds and visions to go a certain directions. Oh, I want to vote for that idea to be implemented into something. But when you vote for a person that says, I'm going to take care of that for you, and okay, how are you going to do that? And they give you an explanation, and it's like, okay, that's where the merit comes in, where you're like, okay, now this person is starting to explain themselves on what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But then you look at you look at nature and you say, I mean, the person that's sitting there telling you what they're gonna do and all that. So most of the time, unless we're speaking, because a lot of artists, people that are in creation, they think that you gotta say things and you'll manifest them and all that. But that's more for a creative thing. For leadership is when you're voting on a person, it's for leadership. So leadership is more of an action thing.
Right.
It's not creation. It's not creative things. Like I'm manifesting this to happen, so I must tell you I'm gonna do it. You know.
Right.
Oh,
No,
I'm dipping my wick.
It's way
Fuck
more,
outta here.
It's way more completely based off of your actions, not your words.
Just going directly into what you gotta do.
Right.
And whoever's doing that is going to be more attractive, no matter what. Even if what that person is doing isn't exactly right or morally, it's just the fact that he's just going and doing it. But that's the nature. Whenever we see somebody just going and doing it, we're just going to put them in the category of leaders.
Right.
So that's why there's so many bad leaders, because we're dealing with a system of voting that the only way we compete is we have to agree on their ideas, not on their actions. Because if we took the track sheet of a lot of people's actions, and then they are the same people that end up being in the voting categories, it would never make sense if all we focused on was people's actions instead of what people are going to say. And here's the other reason I don't, voting for a man or voting for a person in general, right? It just makes me a little eerie. It's because they're not alone.
Right.
You know that somebody else gonna be behind them, and the way things have fallen, the way the dice drops and rolls, if you play your role, most of the time you're not gonna have that much time, especially if you find a divine purpose in life and things of that nature. You might not have enough time to keep up with all the people behind him or her. So when you end up voting for that person, you may not even be voting for all the people that are around that person.
Right. All the people who are influence that person. You're not taking them into account.
So there's so many plot holes that it makes sense that for me, and this is where assassination incoming, but this is where I think that it's not a coincidence that a lot of other places within planet Earth don't have a voting system like that. As it's not a coincidence.
Right.
And I think, mutations are right, trying to experiment, and experiments are cool. I know scientists, but experimentation can only lead you so far because it gives you a certain result, right? So when you experiment with this voting system long enough, you'll think, okay, the people have the power. Right. But then
But eventually, it just
then
becomes...
But then, what has power over the people?
Right.
Because you made sure that was going to be part of the equation, because that's the only way you balance an equation.
Right.
Something has to have power over the people.
But then overall, it just makes the people weak, and then eventually they don't have the power.
Weak. Right. And let me explain why. In my perspective, they would fall a little weak, because if you give people the illusion of power and make them think they really do have it, it's pretty clear in this nature that whenever you give someone something and they didn't really feel like they've earned it, they're not gonna recognize the value in it.
Right.
That's why you see so many people out here that they didn't, they grew up in environments where things were all right, but yet they go down a negative path because they didn't recognize the opportunities they had originally chasing something else that they yearn for, just so they can feel like they've earned it, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Meaning like, okay, I'm gonna be disgraceful and just go ahead and just disrespect people around me because I feel like those people didn't earn anything. So now I'm gonna go down a path where I'm gonna go down the harder path so then I can earn it. I'm saying humans love that sensation. Some say it's like a subconscious a rush to try to get adrenaline, to be like constantly in a in a moment where, because every time you speak to a person, isn't this a consistent thing? Whereas it's like, oh no, I had to work for this, or
Right.
I started from the bottom.
People love to thrive off the struggle.
Right. And don't you think the people you vote for are striving off your struggles just as much as the people you brag to, so then they can get something out of you when you sit there and you're done? I'm saying it's like the voting process is not going to end ever. Let's be honest. Let's transition to something else. Do you feel, and fuck the feelings, do you have a firm answer as to why the United States, the country on earth,
Oh yeah, yeah.
is perceived to be the most successful? I know successful is so subjective, but yet we try to sum it up into just one thing. But successful,
It's still standing, so I guess that's successful.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough. Whatever's still standing is successful. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But you know what type of successful I'm trying to talk about, right?
Right.
As far as
I know what you truly meant by successful. But yeah.
Why?
Why do people believe that they're the most successful?
Why do you? Well, no. So yeah. So why is that the perception? In the general sense.
Well, I think it's just possible that the entire country exists based off of that one thing, that one idea, and to the point that it's in the DNA of its country. It might be a conquered country, but it's still a country. All countries are conquered. And
which we gotta talk about that. You wanna jump onto that right now? The concept of all countries being conquered.
yeah,
Because
people, first of all, to answer your question, it's just it really is just the merit that country is based off of and what it has done, that up until now people perceive it as successful just because it's the richest country. It's the
when you say
it's
merit,
still standing merit. Yeah.
when you say merit, what I think is that, okay, and we're gonna talk about how every country's been conquered in a second here, so we can have a history on it. But every other country's been conquered,
Right.
and this is just not a exception to that. And in the process of all that, we fixed our mistakes. Is that the merit that you're trying to describe, where it's like, oh, we changed from that, so we're morally superior? Because
I guess that would be more accurate to them in the earlier stages.
I say no, man. It lacks accuracy in almost every stage.
Well,
Because
I guess
they
I guess their perspective.
Their perspective, though. I hear you.
Their
I
perspective
hear you.
that they escaped monarchy.
I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you. There is a perspective that they escaped monarchy. Period. That's all I wanted you to get out there, to be put into the world. That there's a perception that they escaped monarchy, but every country had to be conquered. You bring that home. Bring that home,
Yeah.
because
and people keep ragging on America, especially the people who live in it.
right.
Ironically enough, about the terrible things that were done to allow the country to exist. But the thing is that all of humanity everywhere on their planet did that. Everywhere. The original peoples that existed in these areas.
They did it to themselves.
We're all conquered, or conquered others. No one is an exception to this rule, ever. And it's possibly that you know they're ragging on it because it's technically the most recent of the atrocities. But
yeah, this is being stuck in the moment.
It's the last one that had to do it to that extent.
Right. That's why people constantly go back and they talk about Rome.
Mm-hmm. But Rome
on Earth
but you know, France, for example, didn't belong to Rome. Spain didn't belong to Rome. They took it from those people.
But can we also admit
Conquered
this? Let's admit this. And now we're going down a deeper realm that we. Now, when you say, okay, every country has been conquered.
Mm-hmm.
Not every country has been conquered the same way.
No.
With the same intention and the same level of jealousy or etc. Right? You know that certain countries were not conquered with the same weaponry. The differences can go all the way up.
Mm.
So we're not saying that
Morally
when they get
conquered,
that there's going to be the same attributes that, you know, the big
Right.
business, that slavery, the big institution,
Right.
that, which by the way, man,
because
Hold
you know
up.
there's physical conquest, moral conquest,
that's a lot of
psychological
topics, man.
conquest.
It's a lot of topics, man. Hold up,
Yeah.
I'm gonna end this episode right here, man.
Well, we're out of
Let's
here.
just end the episode. Yeah,
You know what?
man.
You know
Yeah,
what?
man.
I remember something. You know what? Fuck it. We're done.
No.
We're done.
Hold up. No. Hold up. All right. So it's because I got two topics and they came in beaming and I'm thinking, okay, am I gonna go that direction or go that direction? By the way, the story of slavery was told in reverse. You really think they had 2 million people up in that slave ship? That's another topic. Let me not end the episode.
What's up?
Keeping it on the voting though. Keeping it on the voting.
Keep it in on the voting, right?
The way, because when we vote for a person now, no matter where you are, let's take it out the United States and then we'll spin it back to that planetary background, that landmass that's over there on Earth. But anywhere you vote that way for a person, you're trying to vote for a reflection of yourself.
Right.
Because that that's crucial.
Because you believe that you are good.
And
You know what I'm saying?
the way we're being, let's agree on some firm, because this is why for me I don't like being in front of cameras.
Yeah.
Now I don't know why being in front of a microphone
Is more comfortable than being in front of a camera.
No, not about comfortable. Like, I'm comfortable being in front of a camera, but I'm saying there's certain things that happen to other people when the cameras are on. The same, similar to the microphone, but the difference would obviously be that when you
Physical
process, when you process the physical instead of just the audio, it's a different effect on your mind. Now you're fully taking in the reflection of that person's conception. So a lot of people that are being voted for now on that planet, they're consumed by a visual processing machine, you know, a television, you know, or a screen.
But you can always manipulate your vision.
And it's always been this way about what you see isn't what you should believe. Seeing is, but the thing is, seeing is believing.
Right.
So
right.
it's a trap in that mere sense that you know that when you see it, you don't have to take part in believing in it, but your mind will subconsciously give forth and bow down to the visual because it has to dedicate its energy to analyzing it, because you're trying to survive. Your survival instincts kicked in.
Right.
Your brain is going to think, I gotta at least know what the hell is up with this guy, so you know at least if it's a threat or not, or cool. All right, but you're gonna use your brain power, and if you use your brain power, using your memory, and then your subconscious is gonna start working on you.
Right.
So that's where your feeding information is so crucial, because whatever you feed yourself is going to be what you shit. So
is it would it be accurate to say that they're doomed to be ruled by power?
right. But it's the way they're being ruled by power, under the illusion that they're not being ruled by power.
Right.
In certain places on Earth.
Right.
Where it just feels petty for them same people to then take the moral high ground and say, but look at your process over there.
Over there, yeah.
Look at your process, man. Look at our process. At least we get to choose. But that's the whole purpose of this recording here, to just remind you that there is really no choice on those things, because the leader will always just act. So if the person in front of you you're voting for, and this is what's happening in my personal take, is that the people are voting for is not the one leading anything. It's the people behind them that we really don't have much conversations, that are really putting forth a lot, if not all, the effort to lead what's going on.
Right.
And take that how you want it. But now let me go back to the conquering conversation to come to a conclusion. Can we admit though that when the Romans had control on Earth, whatever control means, but when they had a very tight influence on the planet, that they had to do it pretty blatantly, right? They had to be very aggressive with it, but but the way the United States on Earth is using images and media to control the way people perceive its day-to-day life and what it means and all that, to be on that landmass, they're controlling how other countries have to run themselves. And that's where there's a fear of a planet being run by a one world government. And all I want to ask to you is, do you see that because of the television, because of the media, that's the only reason people have a suspicion that there's a growing attempt to make a one world?
In all I've learned of their history, I've come to the conclusion that they've always somebody always wanted to control the world. You have, in some type of whatever their current governmental status or whatever is, wanted to control the entire world, to have the entire world gripped by what they believe as their superior way of thinking. And I don't think it ever began on television. I don't think it ever began on media.
Good.
I think people are just seeing it more because of it. That doesn't mean that it didn't come from there. It doesn't mean that it just like, oh, you're the first one to find out. No. Because the Romans thought they controlled the world too.
What's happening a lot is there's things that have been happening for, some say, almost the beginning of time, that now the media or the tool that is media is able to then speak about it at particular moments convenient. just to provoke emotion, knowing that this has been, like, we didn't tell you this from the jump. We didn't, I feel like a lot of information is being conveniently placed in front of us, so then we can become weakened by this information, not knowing that this was probably the case from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason to be weak about this information. It's because, okay,
well, I'll put it to you like this: what's not bad or evil is the idea of a world united, but what the motivations is and what it can become, that is what people are afraid of, because people are always afraid of what they don't know, or what they don't know at least. And
a world united is not possible.
Not in their current states, yeah.
It would only be possible, and this is obviously then creating utopia and creating.
I think it'll only be possible when they find out that they're not alone.
And I think the them finding out that fact, would that be enough for them to?
Well, because here's the thing. I've realized that they and this is why we particularly keep it to ourselves. But this, I think the idea for them is like they're constantly have a desire to fight something, and certain groups of people will group together with others just to achieve this goal. But if their humanity, their human, feel threatened, I feel like that would be one of the biggest human
unification
efforts in order to feel justified against something that isn't human. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if that popped up the way you're describing it, which would mean that whatever is not human is trying to go against us.
Mm-hmm.
These obviously these wouldn't be just like, they wouldn't be like a zombie type of character that are not human. We're speaking about some that is
much more sentient, yeah.
So that would actually be a threat. So it's not like we would still end up betraying each other because we know, how they.
I mean, no, well, people are destined to betray each other. It's just the idea that they would rather be fighting something else than be fighting each other.
No, that would become the priority,
right,
to maintain unity just for the sake of victory and maintaining survival.
Mm-hmm.
But
does that mean that it solved the problem? I don't think so. I think
no.
I think if they won and
trying to bring
peacetime
no,
happened,
solutions.
Yeah. If peacetime happened for them, they just go right back to fighting each other.
There is no solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something that there is no solution that's not pollution to something else.
Mm-hmm.
It is good, and that's really supposed to be that way, and there's nothing to be angered about. And I wanna just come to a conclusion on the voting, because that's a conclusion about conquering. There is no solution. It's not a pollution.
Mm-hmm.
The conquering is however it's done. It's still polluting somebody else's space. However it's done, even if it's done with good intention. The voting process, though, I wanna end on just saying that if you ever vote for a person, and that person is a reflection of either your family or you, and maybe some of your ideas, but I'm only speaking for the people that may only really know how to just vote for people that make them feel like they're speaking to somebody they would like to speak to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not speaking about the person that's analyzing, the merit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just speaking about, okay, this is the person that looks like me. Then you will get lost. You will get lost. There's no way around not getting.
Right. Because I think one of the biggest jarring things, and I think this is why people fight for people that they would vote for, even if that person does bad, it's because they don't want to, especially when they're voting for that reason that you speak of. It's because they don't want to see themselves as wrong.
Exposed.
Right, they don't want to expose themselves, so when they vote for someone and that person turns out to be corrupted in some type of way or has done something wrong, they still fight for that person solely for the fact that they saw themselves in that person, and they don't want that fact to also make themselves believe that they themselves are as bad as they are. They're afraid of their own shadow to accept it.
Episode 1, motherfuckers. But look, also, another reason I'm not willing to vote for another man is because we're all reflections of one another. So it wouldn't be possible for me to vote on a single person. It would have to be that I'm sacrificing another person. See, it's funny that we set all these situations up for people to be in the same room and the big word debate one another and argue with one another, yet we all apparently have the same intention, apparently have the same goals in mind. But yet we won't just all sit and say, you know what, why don't you just, can't you just vote on a group of people? Like, it seems like that would be a very interesting adaptation for that country. Like, because it is about groups for them. Like, I hate to jump into a specific, but I mean, you know my planetary backgrounds. I've been able to bear witness of some of these things. You know what I mean? And So I'm gonna get specific here. They got the Democrats and the Republicans, right? So they have these two groups, and every time we witness to these groups, it could only be one that comes out of these groups. It can only be one.
Only one though? You have a whole group, but you only want one.
But yet, each one of these groups, the people that follow those groups are watching those groups. And they're gonna end up voting for one person in that group because, that other person, I don't really like him. But, I kind of agree with this point. I kind of agree with what he's saying here. But I don't really agree with what he's saying there. But I agree with this other person. And I don't really agree with what he's saying over here, though. Look, no one's perfect. That's, what I'm saying. But if we voted for the group to go in a line change, that would show a level of maturity, right? Because then we're taking away the whole we can't be in a group because we all disagree with one another.
You're almost taking away the monarchy,
and that would be eliminating the monarchy. But that's the one piece of change that, because imagine we didn't have to. Imagine they were witnessing those things, right? Like I'm saying, let's say a debate between a certain group of people that they had to vote for. This can mean for anything, and you like all these people that are on there because you follow that type of philosophy that they're trying to argue about. Why can't we just constantly have these, I guess, whatever you want to call them, debates, but everyone in there becomes in a position of influence, not of power, because they know they're not in power. They have power, but everyone has power over somebody else.
Right.
So what I mean is, okay, they're in a position of power. Cool. All right. Cool. You know, there's someone above you. You know, those presidents have people above them. You know that. You know that because everyone has somebody above them. There is, even when there is not somebody in perception above them, in reality, they're trying to follow a tradition of somebody that was above them, a guideline of something that was above them. So there's something above that person you think that's not above, that has nobody above them. And then the people below them, they're above the people that are below them, and those people are above the people that are below them. So everyone is a boss of somebody in many situations. So it doesn't make sense for us to vote for this one person knowing that all of them can follow the same guideline they follow with their own groups.
Right.
The social constructs that they ended up being okay with their own groups.
Right. And then,
So-
because then you just fall into the trap of that you're blaming one person for what the group is truly doing.
The team gets blamed by, the main player, the MVP. It's like, man, he wasn't doing enough. Well, it's all a contribution and an accumulation of the whole team's process and thinking. But that's just one solution. Maybe we shouldn't vote for the person. We should vote for the group and the philosophy and the actions and the merit. Collectively, not as a monarchy.
Right.
Peace.
Dice.